International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, let's have some fun. I've been looking for Super Bowl ads and I haven't been able to find too many. Maybe they're holding them back, but I decided to just search for them and I found a fun one. Bic is apparently introducing a new lighter and it's just a lot of fun. Here we go.
Hey, Martha, pass me that big EzReach lighter in that bowl.
Bowl of strawberries.
Thanks. This is perfect for hard-to-reach places.
And it helps keep your fingers away from the flame.
Whoa, do I smell?
That's right. Fondue time.
Big EzReach.
So anyway, they're going to introduce this lighter with the new longer stem on it. I use long ones for lighting the grill, but that does seem to make a lot of sense, it seems to me. They're having a little fun with Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. I think that's who it is. Anyway, let's get over to the rest of the news. I'm going to just focus today on one article, and because I really thought it was a good one. And one of the fun things was it was from MSN, which is not somewhere I usually find a lot of direct mail content. But, I search everywhere, so if they have it, I probably find it. And this is from Kim Toddy and Dr. Stephen Lind. And I'll reach out to them and say hello. But I want to thank them for this interesting article that I had it in the hopper for about 2 weeks now, and maybe more. And, millennials aren't always about the digital experience. And I thought, well, maybe that's got something in it besides, SEO and all the other kinds of digital marketing that there are. Turns out to be way better than that. One of the better articles I've run across in a while. It says, it turns out that millennials' digital-first reputation might be getting misinterpreted. Okay. And that could be a very good thing for your business's marketing department. The majority of millennials are at the height of their consumption power, according to Morgan Stanley. And so I, tip back in my chair, and I've got one daughter that's redecorating all of her apartment, and another one, my son is buying a new car, and my other kids just got a beautiful house up in the Minneapolis area. And so, yeah, they're spending, those days I remember those days, when you're trying to fix everything up, start a family, all that sort of thing. So anyway, so this makes them a natural target for advertising campaigns. Yet the best way to grab millennials' attention isn't necessarily through emails or texts. Instead, it might be via a greeting card, which is the main theme of this, but any format, direct mail might be a good idea, and some of these arguments will fit that. The power of direct mail on millennials. Why use a greeting card as part of your millennial-focused marketing campaigns? Society hasn't lost its passion for sending sentimental warmth and goodwill in bright, cheery envelopes. Each year, consumers purchase more than 6 billion cards. 6 billion. It's almost one for every person on Earth. Millennials spend more on those cards than any other generation. That's something to think about. So, one way, because we always talk about open rates and all the other thing, but this is super interesting that, they looked at consumption, rather than the marketing itself, and say, well, these people use more greeting cards than any other generation, including baby boomers. In other words, they go offline when the moment counts. Excellent point. Hadn't ever seen that point before. Okay, so related, 3 foolproof ways to attract millennial customers. And they said, if you want to make sure your business makes it to its 10th year, because only a third of businesses do, you might want to buck the trend and think about, instead of thinking about digital that everybody's doing, and it's actually in some ways worse than that. I remember a Yellow Pages, meeting somebody probably at a business dinner, who sold Yellow Page ads, and I asked him, how that worked, and he said, "Oh, it's pretty easy. You go to business A, who has the second biggest ad on the page, and you say, with just a little more money, you could be the biggest." And they go, "Oh, well, that makes sense. Let's do it." And then you go to the one who's the biggest. You say, so and so just bought a bigger ad than you. And you just play everybody against each other, because there was a time when that was kind of a monopoly, and I feel like that's a lot of what's going on in digital. Anyway, you might want to consider other marketing media. Certainly, you'll always want to focus on digital. Well, I don't know. But anyway, it's worth testing the greeting card waters. One of the most attractive perks to baking offline marketing into your online practice is that physical mailboxes are less cluttered. So if you want to cut through the digital clutter, never mind that a third, according to Augustine Yu, never mind that, Augustine Fu. It's Stephen Yu and Augustine Fu. Anyway, never mind that a third of the traffic is bots, and that a significant portion, maybe another third, isn't even appearing to humans when you put an ad up. But that aside, the average household gets only 454 pieces of mail annually. That's about 1.2 a day. So 6 pieces of mail in a week. Our house gets a lot more, but I like to order from catalogs and such. Most consumers expect 120 emails a day, and that's way below mine. Mine's at least 200 or 300, I would guess, maybe more. And so the odds of someone opening an unsolicited card are much higher than that of the same person scouring an email. Yeah, like 100 times better odds on the physical mailbox. Plus, that somebody went to a great deal of trouble to get that to you. You don't just, emails you can send out without almost any thought, but you can't do that with a greeting card or a postcard or, a decent direct mail piece. When your company sends a personalized card in the mail, you're fostering a different connection with the buyer. So the first point was for acquisition, for getting attention outside of your customer file. So you might remember a customer's anniversary with your organization with a card, or mail cards around the end of the year holidays. I get birthday coupons from the True Value, and I always like those, and they send me a regular batch of $5 off for a $30 spend. But around Father's Day, I think they usually just give me one that's like a $5 or a $10, and that sounds trivial, but I watch for them. And so there's a lot of things you can do with customers. Bottom line is that millennials are tremendously open toward direct mail. Again, remember, this is in MSN. Right. And anyway, so you're in a position to grow your business by embracing greeting card marketing. And here's a few suggestions. First, get a good grasp of your brand. And these were really good suggestions also, I would say. It's not where I would start, I don't think. It's usually customer file, or are you prospecting? Are you looking for new customers, or are you trying to get your old customers to come back? That's usually the first. And then what list, if you're going to go outside that. So direct mail card marketing becomes an extension of your brand's personality. So you want to think about your brand. And a silly direct mail piece may not make sense for a stoic brand. So my father had an advertising company, and he used to do clever cartoons for many businesses. But not all. Like funeral directors, he had a program for that, but it wasn't cartoons. It was appropriate things that are appropriate to do for the bereaved in general. and it was very well received, but it wasn't funny. It wasn't silly. So be careful on that score. My wife doesn't like silly cards. I like only silly cards. So you got to consider your audience. Direct mail methods to target your best prospects. And, again, who's the list? Well, that's kind of an art, and they don't really touch on it all that much. Define your customer's preferred tone. 84% of millennials said they favored a brand that showed authenticity, but, telling people how authentic you are is probably the wrong way to do it, right? So more likely it's better to be genuine and say, this is, come back to our store. This is a coupon for you on your birthday or your anniversary, or you bought this from us before and maybe you like something else, this sort of thing. There's a lot of things you can do. Rely on direct mail to drive digital exchanges. Absolutely. You can segment your audience, although this is often more easily said than done because, I talked to a fairly well-established retailer this week. Yeah, it was Monday. And his customer file is just a few thousand. I mean, it was more than 10, less than 50, but and so that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But to try to micro-segment it, you can't, even if you do, you have to be very careful about the way you test, because in general you need a few thousand in each segment to test effectively. And there's ways to matrix that. There's all sorts of techniques, but it's not trivial. Okay? So if you don't have 100,000 on your customer file, 100,000, you just figure back of an envelope, to get really solid test results, you'd want to have about 5,000 in each segment. So that's only 20 segments. So you say, was that micro-targeting? Can you make them smaller? Oh, absolutely. But then what when the results come in is much less certain, right? Your confidence interval goes down in a strict statistical sense. So you have to be careful. Or you have to arrange it anyway. So be careful about over-segmenting, especially if you're just tiptoeing in. Keep it simple, okay? Include a QR code. I'm a big fan of QR codes, and especially the kind that are trackable. So as soon as someone clicks it, you will know that came from that mailing, and because a lot of times they won't stay a long time. High bounce rate. Once they get to the digital environment, you could retarget them after that. I'm even a fan of personal URLs, so that if you see that someone responded, then you could retarget them, depending on what product or what page they were looking to go to. I'm especially not excited about a QR code that just takes me to the main homepage on your website. It's better than nothing, and you can test it. Put one with a QR code, one not. But if you're making an offer, then take me to the offer. Take me to a way to translate that into a buying decision. But also be careful, because QR codes really only work on a smartphone, right? So they're not working on the desktop. So if a person primarily uses their desktop computer, that won't help them get to your website at all. Okay? So keep it simple. Remember to keep it simple. And the QR code, if it takes you to something that's difficult to place an order on a smartphone, you may be defeating your purpose again. Just saying. Okay. And measure your audience to mold its future cadence. That's very difficult. So I'm going to skip that. But anyway, the conclusion is building relationships with millennial consumers doesn't always mean meeting them in a virtual space. And sometimes the very best way to turn them from mere buyers into world-class cheerleaders is by sending an unexpected hello through their physical mailbox. Very, very well done. Thank you very much. MSN, like I said, not a place I'd normally look. Kim Toddy and Dr. Stephen Lind. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.